If you want to crush 1-2 or 1-3 live poker, who better to learn from than someone who's been on both sides of the table? Bobby James normally battles in nosebleed cash games like 5, 10, 25 with straddles to 50 and 100 and has over $400,000 in live tournament earnings, including a $271,000 score at an EPT event in 2024. But before all that, he was dealing 1-2 games in a card room, watching thousands of hands and spotting exactly what most low-stakes players do wrong. I sat down with Bobby to talk about how you can win more at 1-2 and 1-3, the biggest leagues he sees in low-stakes games, and whether you should be playing tight or loose if you want to maximize your winnings. I asked Bobby what he noticed were the biggest mistakes made by even decent players at 1-2. He said that there are two big mistakes people make. One is a technical one, the other more of a bird's eye view one.
One of the biggest mistakes people make is they bet too big on the flop in multi-way pots to thin the field. Then they're still 4-way to the turn, and now they're playing a massive floated pot out of position 4-way. So it's like, you're always going to be in a spot, basically. Like, this is why you kind of have to stick to, like, small bets and multi-way pots.
I totally agree with this one. And here's an example of what he means. Say you open pocket kings and get called by everyone at the table, including the cocktail waitress. The flop is 8-7-4 with 2 clubs. How strong is our hand here? Well, there's a chance that we have the best hand at this point, although even that is far from guaranteed. But with so many opponents in the hand, and with a flop as wet and dynamic as this one, chances are that we will not have the best hand by the river. So if we bet big now, what will happen? Well, if someone has a set or 2 pair, we are building the pot nicely for them. If someone has an 8, yes, they might call even a big bet, but they still have a 20% chance of sucking out with 2 pair or trips. And if someone has a flush draw or an open-ender, they will not fold. They might even raise you and bluff you off your kings. And if they just call, they have a lot of equity against you. They are in position and you are playing a guessing game. So on this particular board, with this particular hand, I think a check is the best play. But what you definitely shouldn't do is bet big to protect. And then the next mistake Bobby pointed out is a classic. In fact, this one doesn't even have to do with the way they play a hand, not directly at least. I have witnessed this error so many times at the live tables, so I was glad when Bobby brought this one up.
People make a lot of mistakes like with their sizing. They make a lot of mistakes with like how they're not watching the game or following the stack sizes and stuff.
But every action, and especially every showdown, is information. And yes, you might not see the amount of dollar bills in your pocket going up if you pay attention, but live poker is all about exploits. You can only exploit players if you know what mistakes they make. And how do you know what mistakes they make if you constantly look at your phone or watch TV? The next 2 tips Bobby gives 1-2 and 1-3 players to improve were both game changers for me. The first one might seem common sense, but if you fail to do this, you are burning money.
Being more exploitative instead of more GTO. Like, GTO serves its purpose as like, what you should do, but like exploit is way more important in live poker than it is online, because you can't exploit. You can only exploit someone online based on like their statistics and stuff like that. Whereas like live, you don't have a HUD. You just need to pick up on certain exploits that oh, this guy bets really big when he has like nut flush draw, right? Because you're watching the game, you're watching the showdown, they might show one card. Like, every time someone shows a card, it's just information.
If you want to learn how to beat every opponent type at the table, then grab my free cheat sheet Exploit Every Player Type. Link in the description below. And now, hands down, how can someone who struggles at 1-2 or 1-3 improve fast and start beating the games?
If you're playing 1-2, play a ton of 10 NL online. It's very soft. You get a load of hands in, and then you can just study after.
This was exactly what helped my game. When I started playing 10 NL and then later 25 NL online, I finally became more aggressive. It taught me to 3-bet more, and it took away my fear of going all in. Online games do play differently, and it's not exactly the same skill set that you need to beat live poker, but learning to be more aggressive is what makes all the difference, whether you play live or online. And there is one other thing that I get asked all the time. Should I play tight in live low stakes games, or should I loosen up so that I play more pots against weak players? I have a very clear opinion on this one, but I wanted to hear what a high stakes crusher says.
You need to become loose in the right spots. So it's about playing hands in position and playing well post flop. So if you think you can play better post flop than someone else, use it to your advantage. But if you're not too confident, like with your post flop play, or like playing 3-bet pots and stuff like that, just study. When you open up your range, yeah, you need to think about how you're doing it.
If you're opening up like king 9 off from +2, then you're way too wide, right? But then if you're opening king 6 suited, you're still too wide.
Yeah.
So like, in what way do you want to open your range? Like the best players in the world, like, or let's just say like best players are like 100 an hour or whatever. Sure, they're wider in some spots, but they're not stupid, right? They're taking each individual spot versus specific players. It's about, like, again, adjustment and like, player profiling. You can't just blindly open up your range because you will get slaughtered.
This was a lot, but just to hammer the point home, if your post-flop play is far superior than most players at the table, you can become a bit wider and a bit more aggressive in some spots. That's why some of the biggest crushers in your games will sometimes play hands that you would pitch straight into the muck. But if your post-flop skills are just a bit better than your opponents, it is better to stick to a tight aggressive style. And don't forget the rake. If you play more hands, you will pay more rake. So you will have to win more with those extra hands that you play just to reach the same win rate you had when you played a tighter style. That's why, in order to improve your win rate, I suggest you play even a bit tighter than you think, especially when it comes to calling bets. And learn how to beat every opponent type at the table and grab my free cheat sheet, Exploit Every Poker Player. Link in the description below. Bobby James also told me about another super important thing you should do to improve your win rate. To find out what it is, watch this video here.